This is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. We'll call this Mangalitsa number 4, and we'll put this under the feeding category. All right. And I think that a lot of this is just good general purpose information that it would be nice to know about. So this is what I'm doing right now. So I thought that I will, I'm giving my tractor a little rest right now. And so I thought I'd make a quick video. And I'm down on the back 40 of our property. Our farm is an 80-acre farm. And on the back 40, it's kind of like a little wilderness, Not much happens down here. Fall time, we hunt deer and I graze cattle down here too. But we never put pigs down here. We just haven't done that yet. But along the lines of feeding, the Mangalitsa pig will make excellent, outstanding pork out of high quality hay. I just happen to be cutting high quality hay down here. This was planted about 6 years ago. It's a majority orchard grass and timothy, so it's grass, right? And I've had people ask me before, what is hay? What is hay? Hay is just grass that we let get tall, and then we cut it with a hay bine. A hay bine is has got a sickle bar on it that goes back and forth, and it cuts it, and then it forces it through a roller and rolls it so it breaks all the stems so that it will dry. And then we rake it into rows, and they call these windrows. And the rake it's on a different tractor, but it's a non-powered piece of equipment that just, mechanically rakes it into these rows here. And then this is a baler. It's a round baler. This thing was built in 1960, so it's fairly new. I was born in 60. It's got some of the covers off right now because I was oiling it. And being military, I like to have covers off things so I can see how it works. But the hay goes in the front here, and then it rolls in those belts, and it makes a bale that looks like this. So this bale is about 1,000 pounds, and it's probably, equal to about 10 square bales, 10 or 12 square bales. So something like this, on an average day, if it's not a droughty season or something like that, we'll go for about 50 or 60 or 70 bucks right in there. If it's a drought year and we don't have a lot of hay, it'll be more. This year is going to be a lot more because it's been quite dry. And one of the things that I have going for me here, and I get a kick out of this because when I bought this land, it was going cheap because the factory farm people will call this land low. That's what they call it around here. Well, that's low ground, meaning that you can't get on it in the spring because it's it's got a lot of water in it. There's a lot of marshy land. Let me see if the light's better over here. But the type of farming that we do, we use small equipment, old-fashioned equipment actually. A 1960s baler is quite old. No one uses that stuff anymore, but you can see it makes just a beautiful bale. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better bale. Maybe not as tight as some of the brand new ones, but I'm not going for looks on the bales. We just want to be able to store this. But this ground, because it is low, is what I would call sub-irrigated. So I could dig down here, and in about 3 feet, I would be into water. That's no joke. When we used to put in fence posts, we would actually hit water at about 3 feet. So the roots of these grasses, they can definitely reach down to 3 feet, and they're bringing all that water up, and I'm cutting beautiful hay off of this. Everybody around me on high ground, the most expensive ground, they got their first cut, and I've seen some second cuts that were just pathetic. But this is my first cut I did cut earlier, but I never made it to this field. And the way I do things, I don't just take all the hay off at one time. I do it kind of progressively when I'm not doing something else. And this week was the week to finish these fields, finish our first cutting. I will not take a second cutting off of this one. It's August. After I take this one off, I'm going to graze this. And when I say I'm going to graze it, the cattle will come on this, and of course, they're going to look at this field that I've just cut all this hay off, and they're not going to be too interested in what's going on out there. But they will be real interested in this perimeter area that I don't cut up close to the woods, because I want to leave that there for them. The cows will come down here and they'll just love being in this, in all this this forest here. These are popple trees that grow really, really fast. And then they will finish eating all this off. And then what will happen is the new growth will come up on this field. And about September, late September, I'll put them back in here, and there'll be all kinds of new growth out there. It's not high enough for me to cut and be worth my while to do that, but it's surely going to be worth my cows' while to go out there and eat that off of there. You know, they'll really like it, and they'll do very well on it. But, you know, we're talking about Mangalitsa feeding here. This hay, the majority of it this year will go to pigs. And I want to talk a little about hay production and pigs. If I went through and I had a single species hay, like orchard grass or timothy or alfalfa, that's really good in the cow business. People are going to look at that hay, especially if you're selling hay, and they're going to say, oh, there's a lot of weeds in this, and there's 2-3 different species of grass in here. I don't think that's premium hay, and you're not going to get anything for it, or you won't get much for it. But here's the thing, when you're in the Mangalitsa business, everything that you produce, you're going to want to feed to your animals. So I'm not going to sell any of this. I'm going to run all of this through Mangalitsa pigs, and what will come out the other side will be, you know, nice cuts of, premium cuts of Mangalitsa, you know, outstanding bratwurst and prosciuttos and things like that. And it's all from this hay, right? Now, why hay? Why would you want to feed hay to pigs? All right, well, we talked a little bit before about the nutrient density in the meat. The nutrient density in the meat is what makes your brain say, I want more of that, because your brain is actually a guidance system for your body, and it's got a peripheral system on it that is designed for survivability. So when you eat something that's good for you, right, that's nutrient dense, and it's going to provide this body with what it needs to continue, there's a part of your brain that gets stimulated and says, ooh, that's good, I want that. Now, of course, man in his infinite wisdom has figured out how to sprinkle that little stuff on Cheetos, and you eat that, and then something in your brain says, ooh, I want that. And I go off on Cheetos a lot. I'm sorry, Cheetos people. But, you know, obviously it's not good for you, and it will, you know, do all kinds of things for you. Animals are like that too. We can feed them stuff that they will just want, but it's not necessarily what they need, right? So once we train them to eat hay, life's good for me, especially right now, because I've got a tremendous cutting off this field. I'll get many tons of hay off of here, and that's going to provide me with the feed I need to get through winter. And it's going to provide top quality pork, and that's what you want. So, all right, this is Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Anyone can farm.